What's up, producers? Today we're going to be making textured snare sounds out of Skittles. All right, so there you go. We're going to be using those sounds to make textured snares. This is a sound design tutorial to add a little bit of ear candy to your snare drums. If you don't want to sit around for the next 6 to 10 minutes to learn about sound design and how I did this, perhaps skip to the next video or just go on Loop Cloud and get textures there. You can do it that way too, but I just figured I had some Skittles laying around. I had this really cool Zoom recorder, which, by the way, just a hot tip out of the gate, having the left-right stereo microphone really opens up the stereo field of the Skittles. So what I did was drop the Skittles like this, or even 2 handfuls and dropped them on both sides, because you just get that natural panning effect. You don't need that. You can use a regular microphone and just record it twice, and then just pan one to the left and one to the right. And then you might even have more control. But I went the left-right stereo microphone way, and I think it turned out pretty cool. The first thing we're gonna do is just check out the results here. I've got my drum loop, which sounds all right, but this is with the Skittles now. Now, they're pushed back and you can barely hear them, but that's the point of ear candy. It's just a little bit of texture on top of the snare that really pushes it into the next level. What I'm gonna do so you can really hear what's going on is pull up the volume and go ahead and solo it, and this is what the sound sounds like. And we have a lot of control over how long the sound comes out and how it tapers off and so on and so forth, and we're going to get into it right now. So the first thing I'm going to do is delete that MIDI channel, Control-Shift-T in Ableton Live, and I'm going to drop Sampler onto, or Simpler rather, onto the channel. Now you're going to want to use whatever your DAW's built-in sampler is. I don't know what they all are, but there's usually one built in to most DAWs. If they're not, I'm sure there are some free options available. I'll put links in the description. I'll find them for you. The next thing I want to do is come into the desktop and drop the Skittles audio sample on here, and I'm just going to come over to where the good stuff happens. Now, I find that the more sparse the actual jumps or bounces of the Skittles, the better it sounds on a snare inside of a lo-fi track. You might find different results. So I'm going to come over to where it looks like that's what we got, which is the ending here. Put the start position right there, and I'm going to bring the end position over to about here, and I'm going to turn off warp. I just want it to play normal. We're looking for a natural sound of Skittles hitting the desk, so we don't need warping. If I come up to my MIDI clip now and I add some snare hits, we want to add them on C3 is usually the position to get a normal without pitching the sample anyway. So I got it right there, and then I can just take that and just duplicate it on each one of the snare hits for that section. And I'm gonna go ahead and solo it. Let's come back in. Let's turn it up a little bit just for the tutorial. Remember, we're gonna turn it down at the end. Now that sounds really cool, but there's a few ways we can make it a little better. The first thing that I would do is bring my sustain all the way down and just rely on my decay. I don't want it to hit like a note or an instrument. I just want it to be triggered and then fade out. The decay now, if I turn it way up, it will stay around for a long time. Or we can make it a lot shorter and a lot more snappy. That's real snap. It actually sounds like a snap at that one. I'll put it up around, a second to start, and then we can come in and fine tune later. So let's listen to what that sounds like with the snare. I think it sounds pretty cool, but we can actually go a step further. And what I'm gonna do is automate or randomize the start position of the sample. So this is my start position over here in Simpler. I'm gonna randomize that position. So every time a new MIDI note comes in, it's gonna randomize or be in a new position with this long Skittles sample and give me a little bit of variation each and every time to further add character to our track. So the way I'll do that is in Max for Live, there's an LFO, which we can map to whatever we want, any parameter. I'm gonna hit map and just click the start position. You can see it there visually moving up and down. That's going way too fast, so I can just take the rate and pull it down, and that's about right. So let's listen to what we got now. I'm gonna go ahead and solo it again. All right, we're gonna bring up the decay time a little bit more. So we're getting a little bit of issue here at the tail end. So the way to get around that is I'm just going to turn loop on, and that will keep it looped. So we'll always get something rather than it just immediately fading out. So let's see what that sounds like now. So it does get a little artifacty on that second hit, but we can get around that by either turning the rate up or turning it down. All right, so I'm just gonna leave the rate up to around 1.67 hertz. It's gonna depend on how long your audio file is, but turn the loop on if you're getting too many kind of dead notes. This works for me. If we listen to that with the drum loops now, it sounds phenomenal. It's adding so much character. Now remember, as I said, I'm gonna wanna push it way back in the mix, and this should be about where we want it to be. Boom. I think that sounds so much better. Let's listen to it in the context of the track. Boom. Textured snares using the sound of Skittles hitting a desk. I love it. I had a lot of fun making the video and making the track. I hope you follow along, enjoy it. As usual, I'm Joshua Casper. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you in the next video.